So tomorrow, I'm off to Dubai. The reason I'm off to Dubai, the Dubai Air Show is starting Monday. It's basically bringing together most of the people from the aerospace sector and the aviation sector. Now, this is a business trip for me. But Kailey, Singapore Airlines, this is an interesting story that came out a little bit earlier on, basically saying that tourists, not corporate travelers, which would normally be flying at this time of the year, are filling up their pricey first class and business class cabins, which I think is really interesting in light of what we've been talking about, which is that the consumer is starting to crack. Even the high-end consumer is starting to crack. So if they're spending less money on Richemont watches or Diageo booze, are they still going to be spending on traveling at the front of the plane? And if the pandemic kind of boom in you only live once kind of travel is starting to fade, what does that mean for these airlines?
Yeah, I think that's a really key question because we still are seeing relative resilience in the experience economy, right? People didn't do a lot during the pandemic.
Yep.
They built up a lot of savings as a result, and that's where they've been willing to spend their dollars or their euros or what have you. The question is, Guy, to your exact point, if we're starting to see that people aren't spending money on the tens of thousands of dollars watches anymore, they're becoming a little bit more pricing sensitive. Is that ultimately going to impact the travel space as well? And all of that pent-up demand finally runs into the it's too expensive and we don't have a lot of savings wall.
Yeah, you wonder whether this is going to hit Europe next year. Europe had a fantastic tourist season because Americans, like Alex Steele, spent the summer here. And you do wonder whether or not that is still going to be the case going into next year. Are we finally starting to hit the point where price is having a big impact? It's certainly a question that I'm going to be asking at the Dubai Air Show. We've got some great guests lined up over the next few days from that air show. Stan Deal's going to be joining us on the civil side from Boeing, Ted Colbert on the military side. This show could also be dominated, particularly given where it is, by that military story. So it's going to be fantastic to get Ted's take. Tim Clark, are we going to see a big order from Emirates? We'll be asking that question. Tony Douglas is going to join us from Riyadh Air. And we've got the CEO of Etihad as well. What is he doing right now? He's come from Portugal, and it's going to be interesting to see what he's doing with that business. Antonio Neves joining us from Etihad. I think we're going to be talking to him late Monday afternoon. So some great guests lined up to talk to us about what is happening, and are we finally seeing the consumer cracking, and what does that mean for the aviation sector and demand for aircraft?